You've got there with you.
From my left to right, number 3, Kenny Miller Jr., senior Kenny Miller Jr. Number 11, junior, John Dawkins. I'm Coach Partee. And number 5, our captain, senior Tay Man.
Coach, why don't you open us up with your thoughts on the way these guys played today?
We played with a lot of resilience. They played with a lot of resilience. We got down early. We had foul trouble. You know, these are our best 2 players, and both of them had 2 and 3 fouls respectively early in the second quarter. You know, so we had to fight through some adversity early. But second, half, we came out with a lot more energy and played really poised and got just enough to win the game.
Questions?
Coach, the first boys basketball state championship in Smith history. I mean, just what are your thoughts on that achievement and what it means for your program, community, and whoever else comes to mind for you, Coach?
It means a lot for all of them. What's amazing is how many guys that were on that 1995 team that lost the state championship by 1 to carry. How many of those guys were here today? How many guys that I've coached since finishing my 13th year? How many of those guys were here today? So that was huge for me. That was huge for me. We talked about legacy a lot all year. Like, how do you want to be remembered? And if you're remembered as a champion, if you win a championship, you'll be remembered forever.
And for you personally, years of knocking on the door and finally the big breakthrough, did that kind of release had that sweetness that you thought it would when you finally got it?
Yeah, it did, man, because, we've been to the Final Four. We've been to the Elite 8 3 years. He's been to the Elite 8 every year. He's been to high school. And we've lost to 3 state champions, right? Cox Mill, West Charlotte, Central Cabarrus, very good teams. So, for us to get this win, it doesn't really monkey off my back, but it feels really good. It feels really good to get the win. And with this group of guys and how hard they work, it's really special.
The players, your playoff run, a couple of games going down to the wire, how much did that just kind of prepare you for what you experienced in this game? You're down a half, but no one panics. You finally take the lead in the 4th. You don't get too high or too low because of the game against Dudley, the game against Crest. How much do you think that helped you today?
Personally, I feel like those games helped us prepare for this moment by learning how to face adversity and never getting too down and never getting too up, and just being ready to respond to the moment and do what we need to do to get the win.
Question for Jai. I know down by 11 at one point, you hit the basket to make it 34-32, first lead in a while. Could you kind of go through the emotions of kind of that first sequence of the game, coming back and then making that basket, and how you felt at that point?
I really feel good because we faced adversity all year. In that game, we faced a lot of adversity, and to get us up by 2 points at that moment, it felt really good. And I had to really lock in on the moment and really just keep our foot on their neck and just keep going.
Kenny, when you fouled out, what's going through your head, and then what did you kind of learn about your team? What did you observe from the bench from that unique perspective for you?
When I fouled out, I just had to make sure my head was still in it. The game's still going. There was a couple of minutes left. I just made sure I was being a leader on the bench, just doing everything I could, not on the floor, but since I was off the floor, doing everything I could off the floor and help my team get the win.
Coach, their point guard, he had the ball in his hands with a chance to win in regulation and tie it in overtime. You kind of figured, I'm guessing, the ball in his hands is pretty dangerous. What would you do defensively? Because there was really nowhere, especially in the regulation, nowhere for him to go. So what did you guys talk about in the huddle before that?
Well, we actually executed our game plan in those moments. Nowhere else during the game did we execute it, but in those moments, we wanted to make sure we shut down any driving lanes for him and make him a jump shooter. Not saying that he's not a capable shooter, but we'd much rather him be shooting than creating for himself and other people. So in those moments, we actually locked in and played our game plan.
Question for Kenny. A little fact of trivia, if you will. Your father in his last season at Greensboro Day a 29-3 record. Smith, 29-3. Although in your high school game it ended with a win, unfortunately for your father, a loss. Do you have any thoughts?
Hey man, we made history at Ben Hill Smith. That's it.
For Coach and Jai picked up that third foul with 3:47 left in the second quarter. The fate to keep him in, and then Jai not picking up the fourth foul until overtime. How'd you guys pull that off?
He just didn't play any defense. It's been a couple of times during the season that a key player has gotten in foul trouble. And early in the season, I trust you, right? If you say, I can play defense without fouling, I trust you. But if you end up fouling in those situations, then state championship, I take you out. But in those situations earlier in the season, he's shown that he can play with fouls, so we kept him in.
Anything to add to your defense after the third foul?
Stop gambling, stop reaching. That really was it, and that's what Coach here was really telling me. Like, stop gambling, stop reaching. You ain't gonna pick up no more, and we're gonna win this game.
For all the players, this has been a long season. We started right back in the summer playing ball. What does it mean to win a state championship? You're the best in the state. You've proven it to everybody. Just go down the line, starting with Kenny, and just talk about the hard work and what it means to accomplish this goal.
With the team, I feel like winning this state championship really came from the summer because we put in a lot of work as a team. We came here and we had a summer team camp, and we really didn't lose. Like, we played some good teams and we didn't lose here. Coach told us around this time we was gonna be right back here, and we here. We won.
And what he's speaking of, we played team camp at Wake Forest this year. They promised that we would get at least one game in the Joel. So we wanted to play in the Joel and get used to it and put the mindset that we're gonna be here March 14th, 15th, playing for a state championship.
Really what it means to us, like, I wasn't really with them this summer. Like, I didn't get to play in this team camp and none of that. Coach Waddell and them, they told me they played here. They said, you're gonna be right back here. They kept their promise to me. So this really means a lot to us. Like, they're really seeing my seniors off to a state championship. So it really feel good.
For me personally, I've been to Elite 8 for 3 years straight in my high school career, and winning a state championship was really satisfying in a way, and a good way for me to go out. And as far as the team's concerned, we worked really hard. We put in a lot of work this year, and I'm proud of my guys.
Coach, you mentioned that championship mindset. Can you put into words just how much you've seen that grow from your players, whether it was, you take a loss in the regular season you didn't want to take, you had these down to the wire games in the postseason, and then tonight, especially, I think you guys went a long time without a lead, and I think led for maybe 6 minutes out of this game with overtime combined. What do you see from them, how they grow throughout the year, just where they had the right mindset to handle this stuff?
Somewhere in the middle of the season, we probably had only lost 1 or 2 games, but we weren't playing good. We thought we weren't playing good. And we had a player and coach meeting, and we talked and hammered out some things. And after that meeting, leaders started leading more, from players, which is a whole lot different than having the coach leadership. And from that moment, we were better defensively, we were better sharing the ball, we were better just all around, we were better practice. So them stepping up and being leaders was a huge factor in our run.
Coach, what was the key in terms of slowing down Keith in the second half as you started to come back on him?
Stop fouling. And it's real simple. What was he from the free throw line in the first half? Just a lot, stop fouling. And I thought, I know he's a high major player. Kenny Miller is not getting recruited high major like that, but he's a high major defender. When he plays defense without fouling, he is the best in the state. And we felt very confident coming into the game that he could shut Jackson Keith down by himself. So we weren't surprised that we slowed him down in the second half.
Very good. All right, guys, congratulations.